What's up? Can you guys hear me? Let me turn up the sound. I am here with the man, the Jew, the Jaime legend.
What up, guys?
Wait for it. Wait for the camera. And we're here with Mark Croock! I just had to do it. But Mark Croock is here. It's not his birthday yet. Stop wishing him a birthday. What time were you born tomorrow? Do you know your time of birth? 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yeah.
Eastern? Or like Israel time?
South African time.
South Africa. So it might be your birthday right now. You don't even know.
Yeah, it's too much math.
Wait, 2 p.m.? You're born 2 p.m. tomorrow.
8 hours.
It's his birthday tomorrow, but he was born in South Africa time, so I don't understand how this works.
That's 10 o'clock at night.
Wait, let's see what time it is right now. Hold up.
7 hours.
South Africa time. We're not good at math. So right now, it's 11 p.m. on the 29th in South Africa. So it's 6 hours ahead of East Coast time. So you were born at roughly...
Oh, yeah, minus. I was adding.
Yeah, so you were born at roughly like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Are we right at 2 p.m.?
Yeah.
You don't know your exact time of birth? I was born at 9:26 a.m. Eastern, just in time for the stock market open. April 15, 1981. I don't know what the market did that day, but you were born, so tomorrow morning at 8 in the morning is your birthday. That's pretty sweet. Anyways, we are here celebrating an early birthday. We're literally the exact same age, like 15 days apart. I think you're beating me now this year in year-to-date profits. I'm up like 84,000. You're at like 88,000. We're the two Jew crew here, and it's really kind of weird. Mark does look a lot younger. He eats organic. Do you eat all healthy? Yes, we're the same age, but Mark is a lot more mature. Everyone's surprised by how we're the same age. Mark is so much more mature. Smile and Shine's husband just turned 33 yesterday. Happy birthday to him. JM Trader just got out of high school when I was born. Cool. Well, welcome everybody. We are going to do a little Q&A, and some of you guys are brand new, so I just want to go over, who Mark is in case you guys don't know, because frankly, this is the guy that you should look up to. This is the guy who you should be. Let's zoom in on him. Hold up. Let's get into his face so you can see. This is Mark Croock, and he has made roughly 730,000 now? Is that right? 730,000?
A little less. I had one bad week.
730,000 in profits. How long has it been? 5 or 6 years? Or 7 years?
6 years.
6 years. So a little over 100,000. We are actually in Texas to celebrate his birthday. You can probably see us on TV tonight. The Spurs versus the Warriors. We're going to be there with a very special, legendary player whose nickname is the Admiral. Do they usually put the Admiral on TV? I feel like they do. So we're going to be on TV with the Admiral. So check out the Spurs and the Warriors. And it should be pretty cool. Yeah, I'm all over the place. I don't even know what time zone this is. But it's pretty cool. And, Mark has just been an amazing student and now an amazing teacher, as many of you guys know. How many video lessons have you done now for challenge students? 300 video lessons from this guy, all on his experience and stuff like that. Pretty sweet. And more important than just the videos, he's mentoring you guys. You guys have access as challenge students to basically his mind. He's opened up his mind to challenge students. And, you want to learn from somebody who's been doing this for several years. There's a lot of newbies who have been, trading for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, and they don't know everything. And, Mark doesn't know everything, but at least he knows more. He's been experienced. He's been around. He's had losses. And it's good to learn from people who have, seen everything. Perhaps most importantly, he has watched all of my video lessons 3 to 4 times. And I wish that more of you guys were that dedicated. I don't know why you aren't. I know there's a lot of video lessons, but they're good for you. So, this guy says, go Rockets. Ooh, that's rough. We have Rockets fans.
Rockets lost to the Golden State Warriors last night.
The Rockets lost to the Warriors last night? And now the Spurs are going to crush the Warriors tonight?
I think the Spurs are going to send them back.
Harden is MVP, says Jackaroo.
No.
No, you're wrong.
That would be Kawhi Leonard.
All right, quick question. And this is a Q&A webinar. You have access to all of Mark's video lessons, and he does webinars, and he does trade alerts and awesome stuff. But this is a Q&A webinar, so throw out questions. We want to examine how, he left his cubicle job to make $700,000 on his way to making millions. But most importantly, rather than just worrying about $700,000 or $1 million, he has the life that, frankly, he's wanted and he's deserved. So he doesn't have to work in a cubicle. Did you have a boss that you used to hate?
Yes.
Just to make the vision complete. You had a boss that you used to hate?
Yeah, absolutely.
What was his name?
What was his name? Michael?
Michael? Michael was a dick?
Yeah, he was an accountant. He was a dick.
So Mark used to be an accountant, and he worked in a cubicle with this dick named Michael. And now he's free, living in Miami. Question is, how much did you get started with, and how did you get started?
I started with roughly $50K.
50,000 he started with.
So nothing small, but certainly.
That is small.
I knew that I had the flexibility and I had no real obligations, no debt, thank God, and I was in a good place, and I knew that, finding Tim Sykes on the internet was one of the greatest blessings that I, would eventually realize. So, always wanted to get into the stock market. Didn't have a damn clue what to do, and pretty much everything I know and everything that I practice in the markets really stems from Tim's, foundation, his courses and video lessons. So I think the key is to really read up and study up on the core foundation of what he teaches before getting started. And that's exactly what I did. And I had losses starting out the same way Bertani did.
Were you ever under the PDT rule, or were you always over the PDT rule?
Actually, I started an E-Trade account because I was trading at Centerpoint for a while. I also had an E-Trade account, and that E-Trade account, I decided that would be a little bit more of a less aggressive account, and I started that account with $20,000, and that account now is roughly.
Hold up, we got to put it closer to you. Oh, look at this little table. There we go. Now we're all professional.
So I was under the PDT rule in one of my accounts, believe it or not, and I think that actually helps. You'll hear Tim talk about that all the time, that the PDT rule is actually a benefit that you might not actually appreciate because you choose your trades very wisely. And when you start small and you grow it gradually, you appreciate the journey. And I think that's really what's led to my consistency. And that account is up over 10 times, well over 10 times, 12 times. So definitely appreciate the PDT rule, as frustrating as it might be.
How much did you lose in the beginning, and how long did it take you to Tim Grittani often says it took him 9 months to get consistently profitable. What would you say was your...
Yeah, I was looking back at my chart. It took me a good year, roughly a year. So
that's what you guys, have to expect. And I know it's frustrating. I know you want profits in week 1, month 2, but you need to get used to the volatility. You have to learn how to take the meat of the move. Even to this day, when Mark makes 8,000 in a day, and we chat, and he's like, I could have made 15,000. And you have to get used to, if that's disappointment. But how many of you would like to make $8,000 in a day? Yes or no? Let's see you guys leave some comments. Just so you understand a little bit more. It helps when we see your comments too. Look at this. Every single person would like to make 8,000 except Joe Kelly, who's a dick, and he's trying to be sarcastic.
Duck said no.
That's not Ducks.
Oh,
that's Duxy. Is Ducks Duxy? Did he change his username? For the rest of you guys, $8,000 in a day is damn good.
I mean, I wasn't making $8,000 in a month as an accountant, so.
And you hated it.
Put it all in perspective.
But you also hated it too. This is enjoyable. You can take a day off. There's no days off as an accountant, especially in February, March, April.
Yeah, I mean, I almost don't want to take days off. I was trading on the plane this morning, leaving from Miami, shorting the spike of what was it?
DFFN.
DFFN.
I tried to dip by, and this is an important lesson. So Mark, is much more cynical than me, and he really likes short selling a lot, and I used to like short selling a lot, but I've kind of adapted because A, it's scary right now. B, as a teacher, I see what you guys like and what you don't like. And even when I have the perfect short sell, almost nobody understands it. Almost nobody gets it. So I want to be the best teacher. And frankly, I think when you guys have small accounts, not necessarily, 700,000 or 500,000 or $1 million, but when you have small accounts, you really shouldn't be short selling with a $3,000 account. Because there's just not good risk reward, and you can very easily lose a $3,000 account, especially in this market, shorting some of these absolute junk companies, but you short them too soon. And so I think the risk reward right now, especially for people with small accounts, on plays like DFFN, where you can lock in 20, 30, 40% upside within an hour on the long side. Do you agree with that?
Oh, no doubt about it. I've said this many times. I did a video a couple mornings ago, and I said that HTGM, if you really study the big spikers, the low float opportunities are absolutely incredible in this market, and HTGM certainly doesn't come around often, but when it's basing and holding green in the I believe it was the high 2s and low 3s, you're buying that breakout, and that thing just shoots up $1 a share, up, almost 50% in less than 30 minutes. So if you recognize these patterns for low floaters, especially on day one, DFFN day one, no problem buying it. Day two, it fizzled out. But if you're focusing on day one, low float runners that have the ability to spike, especially in this market, you can grow your accounts incredibly quickly, and that's not with even playing it aggressively.
So JP Bruckner says he misses a lot of opportunities right in front of his eyes because he's not so sure about the play, even though he's happy because he recognizes the opportunities. And my answer to you guys on that, I get that a lot, is it's tough to, first of all, trade perfectly, catch the exact bottom, or to short the exact top. But you have to witness a lot of this stuff. You have to see in real time, how these stocks spike, how these stocks drop, and that's part of your education. And it's very good that a lot of you guys are beginning to recognize the signs. I only spotted the morning panic the other day on EMMD because a dozen people in the chat room was like, here's EMMD again. But, I knew to buy when it couldn't really break $3 a share, while many people who spotted it were waiting for a bigger crash. So it's a multi-step process. You have to recognize the patterns, you have to learn to execute them, and you have to learn that, you're not going to time them perfectly. I made $2,000 on an EMMD. A lot of other people missed the trade. A lot of other people made more percentage-wise, not necessarily position size-wise. So you have to understand that this takes time. And I know that it's tough, but I have to keep repeating this because a lot of you guys just don't get it. Here's a good question from Team LeBron. What did you do the first 3 months when you were just starting, Mark?
Well, before I answer that, Team LeBron, I'm sorry about that devastating loss.
Don't say anything about LeBron.
No, LeBron's a phenomenal player, but I don't think the Cavs have it this year. But anyways, what did I do the first 1 to 3 months when I started? I mean, I was studying everything I could possibly get my hands on that Tim was doing. He was doing videos. I was super, when I first started, I believe the penny stock and silver, which included the video lessons, had just started. And that really, was very exciting to me because now I had these additional videos that correlated to all the DVDs and, was able to really apply that material with the plays that were currently going on. And, of course, now there's endless amounts of videos, and I even did a top 60 video list for you guys, and there's so many good places to start. There is a lot of information. I understand a lot of you guys are overloaded with information, but studying the basics is really what it comes down to, and then you kind of get a good feel for what you're good at, what you're comfortable with.
And also, I should mention, Mark started when I was first starting doing the video lessons, but a lot of you guys are starting with the challenge now, and the challenge has improved dramatically in the past, 6 to 9 months since Mark started doing, video lessons for you guys. Duck started, alerting in real time. This guy is making like $50,000, sometimes $100,000 in a day. And yes, I'll post the interview that I did with him soon. So get ready. We just have to translate it because he doesn't speak perfect English. English is not his second language or third language. English is his fourth language, which is so crazy. But Dux is a great resource in the challenge chat room. Please leave him alone to trade. Don't ask him so many questions. Mark is a great resource. Tim Grattani is a great resource. Please leave him alone. Let him trade. And Michael Good is a great resource, and I'm trying to answer questions too. So, you guys have a lot more, resources than any time in the past. And so now you really have no excuse not to succeed unless you don't take advantage of it. I know a lot of you guys where, I can see how much of the video lessons and DVDs you're watching. And even if you claim to be watching it, like when you say this in emails, you're like, well, I'm watching the DVDs. You're watching 1/8 of the DVDs, okay? I'm sorry. I can't, put all this information into like a little USB port and stick it in your head. This isn't the Matrix. You have to put in the time and effort. And I know you don't want to, but if you don't want to, if you don't do it, trust me, the market will teach you, and that will be a more expensive, more painful way of learning. So it's totally up to you. Anyways, let's get to some more questions. You both should do more live trading videos. Those are the best. I mean, we do live trading webinars, but also understand that trying to narrate while we're trading, it's not an easy task. And especially when I'm going to a lot of these third world countries where the Wi-Fi is barely working, it's simply impossible. But, we do like doing that. At the same time, we have to teach kind of based on the past. And live videos, live trading, that's always helpful. But it's not about live all the time. You guys have to learn that your priority should lay in the past. And this is so difficult for so many people. They're like, I don't care about the past. I want to know what hot stocks are now. The secret to your success is hidden in the past. That's what I think. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, I think you tend to see these patterns repeat themselves over and over and over and over again. And when you look in the past and see how these supernovas have played out, how these low floats have played out. Uh, simply looking at the historical chart. Too many of you guys don't even look at the 100-day, 200-day, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year chart.
You have to use multiple time frames. It's not just about intraday. You should be looking at, I would say, a minimum of 4, probably more like 6 or 7 different time frames, from intraday, 1 week, 1 month, 2 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. That's what I do before I risk any trade. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think that's the rookie mistakes that, I know I've made them in the past, where I don't look back at the chart and say, you know what, this stock has run in the past. However, day 2, it's typically a failure, and if you're going to go long, not knowing, the past on that, or perhaps you didn't check the catalyst, or you didn't check, that goes back to just doing some basic homework, but you've got to go back and look at the basic charts, and these historical patterns will show up again and again and again. I think Giggle is breaking out again today.
Giggle is breaking out, and I was dip buying it the other day, and, looks like I should have held. So a lot of you guys are asking me questions on which stocks do I dip buy, and, like a lot of these biotechs, you see one big day of spiking, and then, nothing. You have to recognize that a lot of these are kind of like one-and-done type stocks. I greatly prefer dip buying stocks like EMMD, where they've been running for several weeks or several months. And you have to think about this stuff logically. If something's been running for weeks or months, there are going to be some people on the sidelines who missed out, and they're going to feel guilty. And when they have that crash upon them, they'll try to get in, because they'll be like, now here is my chance. But with a lot of these biotech stocks that only spike for one day, they're not necessarily going to bounce that much. Like, yeah, you can try to go for the dip buy on day 2. Maybe sometimes like a biotech will be choppy in the morning and then actually have a delayed morning spike. But the best dip buys for me are on stocks that have been running for several days, several weeks. VRAY, was running for several weeks. And that's why I dip bought it the other day, and I made nearly 50 cents a share, sold too soon. And EMMD was running for several weeks too. So I think that's a good lesson that a lot of you guys need.
Apparently I'm not smiling, so I'll try and smile, Susie.
Mark is not smiling because I think he's worried about his Spurs tonight.
No, I'm not that worried.
Oh! Here's a question. No, that question doesn't make sense. Sorry, we have to ask the right questions. This is a good question. How do you avoid burnout when you study a lot but still don't get results?
Great question. I think what I'm finding with a lot of students, they're not really identifying their mistakes. And you feel like you're burning out, but you're actually not really digging deep enough to figure out what you're doing wrong. And those results those results can certainly take time as a new trader, regardless. But documenting everything and really goes a long way. And all of you guys, that even if you're paper trading, whether it's paper trading or putting your hard-earned money into the market, you've got to figure out what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right. And what I'm finding is that a lot of you guys, based on the watch list that I'm reviewing, are not focusing on the right setups, and they're not even setups that are remotely close to what you should be looking for. So that means you're not studying enough, and it's not rocket science, as you'll hear Tim say. I mean, you've got to look for volatility, stocks that can spike 50 cents or $1 a share in a day or two, not in 5 days or 10 days, but in a day or two. So you're going to be frustrated if you're not focusing on the right setups, the volatile plays, and we've had just countless ones: DFFN, HTGM, CDIO, PULM. The list goes on and on. VRAY, CGIX. I'm starting to learn my tickers a little better than I used to, actually.
So, I think that there are students at both ends of the spectrum where some students don't study enough. Some students study a lot and they do burn out. I don't want you to burn out. I have to, kind of remind you and to give you the proper perspective, because it's very easy to, just have one vision of how this is going to be. And when that vision doesn't, play out in reality, you get disappointed. So let me be the first to tell you and remind you that you're not going to make $1 million all at once. You can't cheat your way to success. All of the studying, all the frustration, all the dedication, all the sacrifice, it does work, but it takes time. And you need to have the proper perspective, because if you expect immediate success, like, oh, I'll study all weekend and then I'll just get it all and I'll know everything, on that Monday, you will inevitably be disappointed. So understand that this is a marathon and not a sprint. That said, even if you, let's say, study and you miss a play, or let's say you study and, there's unexpected news, it's all part of your experience. It all adds to, kind of like this memory file that you should have. Like, okay, here's one play, here's another play. It helps, frankly. I'm not that great at math, but it helps that I have, somewhat of a photographic memory. So I can remember pattern after pattern, similar play after similar play. A lot of you guys don't have photographic memories, so you have to study. You should have an entire catalog of different patterns and memories that worked out well, that didn't work out well, that you witnessed, that you traded well, that you didn't trade well, and it all adds to your education. You need trades that don't go well, okay? That's part of your resume. You need trades that do go well. You cannot skip a part here. You can't just have all trades that do well. Your education will not be complete. So while you get discouraged from studying when you lose, you shouldn't, because the losses are part of the journey. And the losses are actually better educators than your gains. I know that many of you guys, if you make $100 in a day, you get really encouraged. And you say, hey, I love this. I made $100. I want to study more. Versus if you lose $100, you're like, I hate this game. I don't want to study ever again. That is, that the mindset of a child. Okay? Whether you make or lose $100, it doesn't matter. If you become one of my mastery students and you come learn in Miami, I've given out $100 bills to people. And I say, it doesn't fucking matter whether you make or lose $100 on the day. It's all part of your education. And you're trying to plan for something that is going to actually matter and be life-changing years later. Mark is now making $8,000 in a day. When he first started, he was not making $8,000 in a day. No different than Tim Grittani, Michael Good, Ducks, myself. You have to scale your positions up once you get comfortable. And in the beginning, you should not take big positions because you're not comfortable and you don't have experience and you don't have, a good basis of how fast some of these stocks move. And if you trade with a big account from the get-go, you will probably get crushed. And then, either you or your significant other or your family will make you stop trading and learning because they'll be like, you just lost, $10,000, $20,000 in a few minutes and you don't even know why. So I highly suggest that you start small. I highly suggest that you get frustrated small. I highly suggest that you paper trade using stocks to trade. Even though it's not a complete education, it does at least teach you about the volatility. So you need to have the proper mindset. And I find that probably 50 to 60% of students have the wrong mindset. And that is the cause of 90% plus of your problems. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, you've got to have that mentality that every trade, every experience that you go through is, like he said, something to store away and learn from over time. You're not going to pick this up right away, but if you do it long enough and Jay Bruckner says aim small, miss small. Yeah, I mean you're
sniper.
And I think that's really what I learned from Tim, more than anything, is learning to be a sniper and staying patient, not having to be in a trade all the time. I can't tell you how many times I've always, been at my desk for the whole damn day waiting for a stock to break down when I should not be in it. So if you...
IMMY. Sorry, I had something in my throat.
I perhaps today was, I'm in IMMY. I was in it in the morning in the 440s and took it off before my plane took off. But I did get back in, and the price action to me suggests that the stock is, ready to reverse, and momentum looks like it's reversing. But back to the point,
it couldn't go red. You're being stubborn.
V-Ray never went green.
I'm wrong too. We're two stubborn Jews.
So here you have two Jews who, have adapted over the years, and while the price action might not go exactly the way we want it, we've learned from the past that typically when a stock behaves a certain way, we have the experience to be able to, predict, or not predict, but be there for that move. And if we don't get it, we're out for a small loss. But back to being a sniper, not being obsessed with trading all day long. I think that's the biggest downfall to a lot of traders because, what happened here? Oh, it just went on. So a lot of traders just constantly want to have action, and all of you have probably heard that at 80% of my wins come from 6% of my plays. I think that number has actually changed quite a bit because I've adjusted the way I trade over the past couple of years, and that's what you have to do. You have to adapt and adjust and fine-tune your game. And I compare this to sports. You've got to limit your turnovers or your unforced errors if it's tennis. You've got to make adjustments if you're constantly making the same mistakes, which I see quite a bit of, where students are just, making that same mistake where they're buying near the highs of the day after a stock's already up 3 green days in a row. So if you're buying a stock after it's already up 3, 4, 5 days in a row, and you keep doing that over and over, then you're not identifying the root of your mistakes. So you've got to really tune into what you need to improve on.
Good question from Oscar. He says, "Hi Mark, when did you decide to quit your job and just trade for a living?" I'm sure a lot of people, want to know the answer to this.
Yeah, so good question. So I was doing some trading, not a whole lot, while I was still in the cubicle, and I decided roughly, I believe it was it was maybe 5 months after I had started that, I was canning the job and transitioning to trading full time. Now, remember, I had a safety net. I wasn't just doing it on a whim and needing to make, $10,000 a month. I had the wherewithal. So the key is if you're working, use those extra hours at night to study and tune into the market as much as you can. But don't be in a hurry to quit your job necessarily. I mean, this is, as Tim said earlier, this is something that you're learning. This is a life skill, and even if you did this part time, to some extent, anyways, it's well worth it. The long-term benefits just from understanding how this all works is, goes a long way. So, Genius looks like he quit his job 2 weeks ago.
Ay. Calm down with cutting, your jobs down, because a lot of you guys, just think that you're going to be so successful from the start. You have like one $5,000 profit and you're like, I got this. And I see too many of you just thinking that, one success or two successes means that you're always going to be successful. This is something that is so tough to do. Even, me 2 decades into this journey, I still have moments where I just ignore my rules, or I take crappy trades, or I go too big. It's not an exact science. And before you get rid of a solid paying job, even if you hate it, at least it's, something where the paycheck is coming in regularly. You can't live off this money, okay? This is speculative money. Like, you have to be prepared to not care if you lose your entire account. And I know that sounds harsh because rule number 1 is to cut losses quickly, but you can't be, trying to pay your monthly rent with trading gains. Like, you can't be like, oh, rent is due at the end of this week, so I better have a good week trading. That would be terrible, okay? Because you will end up forcing trades and taking bad trades in order to make the money to pay the rent. And, what happens if there are no good trades? What if you take a bad trade and you lose money? Now you're getting further away from being able to pay your rent. So you have to be very careful with the money that you have in your account. There's a reason why, I didn't have a Lamborghini for the first decade of my trading. I didn't want to take any money out of the account other than, to pay taxes, because I didn't want to trade with a smaller account because I was making money pretty much every single year trading. If you take money out of your account to live or, splurge, then you have to take smaller position sizes, and that will affect your future earnings. So you have to think about all of this stuff before you get rid of a job, before you start, trying to live off this as income. Good question from Debbie Downer. Do you guys ever feel like you're gambling rather than investing? I'll take this first. This is gambling. This is researched gambling, except that if you go to a casino and gamble, even if you count cards, your odds are never more than 55% at best. Okay, and most of the time, if you're in a casino, you're winning 40 to 45% of the time, and that 5 to 10% of the 50% is what the casino takes every single time, and that's why casinos are a multi-billion-dollar business. The thing with this is that if you wait for the proper setups, if you have the right variables, and you do your research ahead of time with all the variables, not just like, oh, I see news, I see an earnings win. You look at the float, you look at the market, you look at your position size, you look at your own personal schedule, you look at the past performance of the stock, you look at what time of day it is, you look at the volume, you look at everything, and you come up with a good plan. You can win 65, 70, 75% of the time. And that is still gambling, but it's research gambling, and the odds are on your side. Investing, I know how newbies think this is investing. We're not investing in penny stocks. Almost every single penny stock will end up at zero. Almost every single penny stock will go bankrupt. Almost every single penny stock will fail. So you're not investing in these companies, and I think that's the main problem, that most people look at penny stocks like, oh, I'm only going to put in $1,000. Maybe it's the next Microsoft. And, every now and then, 1 out of 200 penny stocks makes it, and it sends you the total wrong lesson. And I know some people that just have, quote, investments in 30 different penny stocks. And they're like, well, I have 30 different positions, $1,000 each. One of them will pay off and, cover all the losses of the other ones. That is not what we do at all. Take it away.
I'm not sure I can say it any better. I mean, this is certainly, if you want to call it short-term investments that are extremely, you're dealing with extreme volatility. So, it's all semantics. But bottom line is, you are gambling, but the key is the edge, and that is why you're here. You're here to gain that edge, and that's what you will gain over time as you master these patterns and watch a number of these patterns play out over and over and over again. HTGM is not the first. For those of you that are brand new to this, CBIO came the next day, so you'll see, plenty of these type of moves. Over and over and over again, and you can certainly get the odds on your side, and it is gambling to an extent, but the odds will be on your side if you are really playing the pattern, the way Tim teaches it, and these patterns are very, very repetitive.
A good question I saw was, I'll get in the shot after this. I'm going to pull this chair around, but right now Mark is hogging the limelight.
Yeah, why don't we put this
No,
back?
Mark loves attention. It's fine.
Okay.
I'm going to pull it around after I answer this question. I saw one question. How do you get in the zone, and what is your morning routine? I think the two are related because my morning routine, no matter, well, depending on where I am, depending on what time zone, but the morning for the U.S. stock market, because I'm always trading the U.S. stock market. So before the market open, I'm always looking at the stocks on my watch list from the previous night, and I'm looking at pre-market big percent winners. I'm trying to see what stocks are in play, what stocks fit my pattern. And I get, quote, in the zone when there's a play that fits my patterns to a T. Last week, you might have seen I was kind of sloppy trading. I was over trading. I was down a little heading into Friday. I didn't have a good morning, and I was kind of pissed. And I was like, well, I'm going to study, my penny stocking part 2 and how to make millions DVDs over the weekend, and I'll get more disciplined. And then I got in the zone real quick when EMMD panicked perfectly from 4 to 2, and I recognized it as one of my best, most reliable patterns. And I took it, and it wiped away all my small losses, and I felt amazing going into the weekend. So you have to wait for the right patterns, and if you don't know what the right patterns are, you have to study these DVDs and watch lists and webinars and video lessons so that you understand the various patterns. And yes, I saw a question before. Some of you guys are like, should we be keeping track of different patterns? I think that's a great idea. It's on one of our many programming to-do lists for Profitly, where you can basically track the performance of different patterns and different strategies. Because as you'll see from my interviews with Dux and Tim Grittani, when I post them shortly in the next few days, they haven't had success just on one pattern. They each have multiple patterns, and sometimes a pattern works better than others, and sometimes a pattern just stops working. So when I made like $6,000 on EMMD, that pattern panicked on an intraday basis on a multi-week run-up, especially kind of like a pump-looking chart. That is probably my single most reliable buying pattern over the past 20 years. So all I had to do was see it, and I got very excited, and I only got executed on a small portion of my shares. I didn't have the best mindset going in, but when you have a great setup like that, nothing else really matters. So your dilemma and your goal should just be to understand what is a great pattern and how can you wait for that and how can you be prepared, because there are great patterns. EMMD did it again this week, and I just made $2,000 selling again too soon. So these patterns happen again and again, and when they really are perfect, I get in the zone because I've studied so much and I have so much experience that it's very easy for me to recognize it. A lot of you guys might see a perfect setup, but you don't recognize it, and that is the fault of you. That is your lack of preparation, and we need to fix that.
Yeah, I think that was a lot you just said. I think too many of you guys are just not limiting, prioritizing which plays are the best to focus on. And if you can focus the 2 or 3 best plays every morning as part of your everyday routine, then that's going to keep all the noise and the distraction away from you. And I think that's a lot of this noise and trying to focus on way too many tickers is distracting your concentration and your focus. So I'll leave it at that.
I'm out of the bed. We have a bed here. I work literally from bed most days. I don't know why I love it so much. Sometimes I doze off and I'm taking a nap. I just love it. And you have to speak up a little bit because now we moved the computer back a little bit. But I work from bed. I really do. I can't help it. I know that I should have an office. I know I should have multi-screen monitors, but I think I like working from bed just as a giant fuck you to the whole office world where no one can work from bed, ever. Did you ever work from bed when you were working as an accountant?
Not even close.
No. So I enjoy my bed. I do need more exercise, though. Let's see. Good question from Saad. How do you guys handle fear? Mark, you want to take that?
Yeah, I mean, fear is a part of this game, and the only way to manage your fear is to manage your position size. If you take position size and you're not comfortable in the trade, and you're clearly scared of losing too much money, that means you're taking too much size. And I was doing that a couple of weeks ago. I was buying like 14,000 shares of AUPH, thinking it was going to bounce, and suddenly I'm down $4,000, $5,000. I can't remember exactly what it was, but and then I bought it when the first green day came, and I had, I think, 7,000 shares, and I nailed it, and I was comfortable with the size. And everybody struggles with that at some point, and from week to week, you've got to just regain recalibrate, so to speak, and make sure that you're taking a reasonable size position relative to your account size. And it's okay to go all in if you're trading a couple $1,000.
Don't ever say that.
Just a couple $1,000. I mean, if you're trading $2,000,
don't ever go all in.
If you're trading a tiny account,
never go all in. He's drunk. He's been drinking Manischewitz all day.
No, it's okay to take, let's say, 50% of your account if you're trading a small account size. Now, I would never advise going all in on a as you grow your account, a bigger account. But
how about never go all in at all? These people don't know the rules. Okay. Don't go all in. Never go all in. None of you guys are good enough. Even Ducks, who's now making all this money, he should never go all in because you don't know what could happen. And I don't want you guys blowing up. So this is my little warning to you. As for fear, I think you should overcome it. I used to be afraid of heights. I went skydiving twice. I got sinus infections twice. But I'm not afraid of heights anymore. I'm just afraid of sinus infections. So I transferred my fear to something different. You guys don't have to be afraid of trading. This is why stocks to trade and paper trading is so good. You can practice. Obviously, you don't get the full education. You don't get the emotional kind of experience. But at least, you do learn how to deal with the volatility. And you see how fast these stocks move. A lot of you guys aren't prepared for how fast this stuff moves. No different than this chat room. So 50% of your account, again, if it's like a perfect play, I don't mind that. But like I'm long VRAY overnight, I wouldn't go big on that. That was like a speculative play that I thought that it could go green. Now that it couldn't go green, I'm down like 10 cents. Should I cut losses? Probably. But it might spike so fast tomorrow. And I'm still comfortable with it because I have a small, puny, tiny position size. It's very different when you're taking a big position size on a speculative stock. So you have to understand what kind of pattern it is and how to adapt.
Yeah, I think that
I have to go to the bathroom. I have to pee real quick. Hold on.
For it.
You take it.
So I think that's very relevant what Tim was just saying, because you certainly will be fearful when you first start. I mean, losing money is never fun. But understanding, and Ducks just really laid it out here in the chat. He said account below $3,000. I mean, you can put a good percentage, not necessarily all in, but you can certainly put a good percentage of your account when the pattern is right. In HTGM, the pattern was right. HTGM, let's review it again. I did a video lesson on it a couple of days ago, and I said I've been pounding the table just in terms of where this market has really rewarded longs, and that has been in the biotech sector and in small caps, especially low floats. And HTGM did run that one day going back into February. And a lot of people thought that it was a one and done; it would never come back. Lo and behold, they put out some news of a patent, and It started spiking in after hours, and it refused to break down in the 290s, which is where the initial resistance was going back to February, if you pull up the chart. But the point is HTGM was a play. If you've seen enough of these patterns and understand the explosive potential of low floats, that it was a play where you could certainly put, if you're trading at $3,000, you buy 700-800 shares at $3 and or $3.10 when it starts to break out the highs of the day. And again, go back and just review the video lesson I did, but identifying the good ideal setups will allow you to really determine what is worth getting more aggressive on and what is certainly more speculative. In the case of IMMY, which I'm short, just a small 7,000 share position. For my account, very small. For Tim, he's long VRAY, very small position. But these are two speculative plays where we did not go aggressive because they're not necessarily ideal chart patterns. So that's going to be key for you, is to really figure out where to get aggressive, when to get aggressive, when to play a speculative play far more conservatively. And that's not straightforward. That's a skill I think you learn over time. And just by watching Tim trade after trade after trade after trade after trade, watching his, the Tim alerts that he did for the first few years trading, I think, as a lot of people kind of, they think these alerts are perhaps too frequent or too not necessarily educational, but that's far from that's actually couldn't be further from the truth. You're actually learning from these alerts by the position sizes. Tim bought DFFN yesterday, 1,000 shares at 355. How confident was he in that play? Not terribly confident if he took 1,000 shares, but he did put in his entire small account.
Half of it.
Oh, how much is your small account?
8,000 now.
Okay, so he put in barely half of the account, and so that is where you can learn. I think especially from Tim's position sizes as well.
And also, I should mention, I've got 2 accounts. I'm still working on sizing up because, pretty much the past 2 years I've been trading with a small account. Now I have $1 million account that I'm trading with. I'm still not comfortable with taking $100,000, $200,000 positions, even though I should be, because I did this a few years ago. But it's weird to go back and forth. It's like playing in, the NBA and then playing against, mini-me. And it's like you're still playing basketball, but it's like a different game. So when I trade with a small account, oftentimes I trade, very speculative setups where if I'm wrong, like on DFFN, if it did not break out yesterday in the 4s, guess what? I would have gotten out. The day high was 480. I was in at 460. I anticipated it. If you watch today's video lesson, I anticipated it retesting the 480 level, but it easily could have double topped. And then I would have gotten out for a 10 or 20 cent a share profit. Or if it had double topped and come down, I would have lost 10 or 20 cents. But either way, my risk reward was very small. Aim small, miss small. And then it actually did break 480 as I thought it would. And I was planning on holding it overnight. And it hit, the 520s, 530s after hours. I'm going to sell because now it's hit all my goals and there's no reason to hold anymore. This is also another reason a lot of you guys under the PDT rule, you're trading and you get stuck. I see, like, with your last day trade of the week, you're like, oh, I bought this stock and I can't get out because it's my only day trade. You should have planned ahead of time, okay? Always leave yourself the option to get out same day. I don't ever want to see you guys being like stuck in a play because even if it double tops or even if it doesn't do exactly what you want, you have to stay in it just so that it doesn't count as a day trade. Poor planning on your part. Okay? If you really want to have more day trades, which I don't think you even need with a small account, but if you do, you can have 2 different accounts. Open up an account at Scottrade, open up an account at E-Trade, put $2,000 in each. Now you have 6 day trades per week. You really don't need to trade that much. DFFN was, I think, my first play in March, or like my second play with my small account. That's it. In my small account, I started the year with 5,000. It's up to nearly 9,000 after 3 months. And nothing huge at all. But when you can make a few $100s on a trade like DFFN, I like being able to show that. So you don't need to avoid the PDT rule. You don't need to trade that much. How do you avoid the PDT rule? You don't fucking trade that much. You hold a play overnight. You don't take as many trades. You practice paper trading. Some of you guys think that you have to like make $20 here and $10 here and $5 here and then it adds up to millions over time. That's not the right way, okay? You might make $20, but that should never have been your goal, okay? DFFN, I'm making nearly $1,000 on a $4,000 position. Those are the kinds of plays that you should be trading when you have a small account. Let's see. How do you control your greed when you get out in the stock too soon, and if you held longer, you could have made more? Okay, I get this question a lot, where a lot of the time I exit too soon on EMMD. I just had my best trade of the year, of the past year. I had my best short-term trade, and I took 1/3 of the profits. I made roughly 6,000. I could have made 18,000 had I held like another hour or so. How do I deal with it? I don't fucking care, okay? I made my money. I went in with a plan. I stuck to the plan. It was a good trade. Even if I had a loss, I stuck to the plan and I cut my losses if the play doesn't work out. Guess what? That is how you solidly trade. You stick to your plan. You create a plan and you stick to it. If you change the plan, if you don't stick to it, it's a very slippery slope. And sometimes, yes, you will capture more of the profits. You know, oftentimes I get out of stocks too early and I could have big profits. But when that happens, I simply adjust my plan for the next time. I don't throw out the plan altogether. It's not either or. This isn't Vegas where you have to double your money or put it all on black or red. There's many different adjustments you can make. If I sell too soon one time, I'm going to try and hold it a little longer the next time. If I cut losses quickly and I was right to cut losses quickly, I'm going to cut losses quickly the next time because I can see how the stock does after I get out. And I use that knowledge and I adapt and I adapt and I refine and I refine and I optimize. But I see a lot of you guys sticking to your plan and you get out, maybe for losses, and then the stock does what you want and you're like, I should never have gotten out. And you start questioning your plan and you stop cutting losses quickly. That is wrong. There's a right way to make money and there's a wrong way to make money. If you ignore your plans, if you ignore strategy and you make money, that is the wrong way. Again, I know that you're encouraged when you make money because you don't want to pay attention. Many of you guys don't care if you make money the wrong way. You just want to make money. I'm trying to change your life, but you need to pay attention. If you develop bad habits in the beginning, it will catch up to you in the end, and that will be your end. Okay, Tim Grittani was very successful in the beginning, but he also developed quite a few bad habits, and that hurt him for nearly a year, as you'll hear when we post his, we did like an hour-long interview. So I don't want you developing bad habits. You cannot judge your success solely based on your profits and losses in the beginning. Judge your success as a student based on your habits and your discipline and how disciplined you are. Again, the money that you make or lose in the beginning won't change your life in the end. But the habits you learn and develop will. That's my answer. What's your answer?
Yeah, I think, that's how we teach our children, right? And that's what I'm going to try and teach.
And you guys are my children. I don't have any babies.
I have a baby now, so what I teach her now, going forward, really, will speak volumes later on. Duxie says, Duxie, you're a teenager. No, you're not. Anyways, you've got to really develop the good habits, and that's there's going to be frustrations. I guarantee you there will be frustrations where you're out of a play, and then you're like, oh, I was right. But if you have the right discipline, over time you will definitely succeed in the long run. So, and that's why I'm having as much success as I'm over the past year and a half. I mean, I've been doing this for so long already, and I'm not ashamed that I I'm taking several years to really master this. And perhaps it's for me it's taken longer, but the key is the refining, and over time, if you refine, that's going to bring you to the next level. So. I think we got to go, man. It's getting late.
One more question. The question was, where was it? Oh, this one guy says, how many times have you guys said the same shit? We say the same shit because, frankly, he learned the rules and I teach the rules and these rules work. So it's not totally random. When you hear ducks in my interview, it's like I'm interviewing myself. In fact, I actually said, Ducks, I think that you're a Chinese clone from the future of myself because, the UN has banned cloning. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm actually looking into this because I need more, helpers. The UN has banned cloning, but there are rumors that China is working on clones. So I think that in the future, I go to China, create a clone. That clone is Ducks. I send Ducks back into the past to help me teach you guys so that my future clone can thus help my business grow by teaching the exact same stuff, but from a different mindset. I don't know. Just an idea. I have no proof of this. This is just my imagination talking, but I really do believe that Ducks is my Chinese clone. Just throwing that out there in case I am right. It wouldn't surprise me if, like, in 5 years, and he comes out and he's like, you know what, Tim, you're right. Like, time travel and cloning is possible in 2087. I am your Chinese clone. I will be like, I knew it. March 29, 2017, I gave a webinar. I was right. Exactly, like Terminator, but the Timinator. Yes, it makes sense. I'll be back, but in a Chinese accent, which I cannot do. IBZ says, how do I start knowing the patterns? What DVDs do I watch? As a challenge student, you guys get a syllabus of what DVDs and what order to watch them. Mark created this syllabus. Mark has also created a quiz, which I have to review. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes.
I haven't had time for that yet. But you guys just have to email admin@timothysykes.com for all the information that you need. We'll give you guidance, okay? I've hired a lot of people to help you. And frankly, that's how you learn. So pay attention to the syllabus. We have to go celebrate Mark's early birthday. Take a look at the TV tonight, Spurs versus Warriors.
ESPN.
Is it on ESPN?
9:30 Eastern.
ESPN, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We will be there with the Admiral David Robinson. Check my Snapchat and Instagram. I'll post some photos and videos there too. But happy early birthday again to Mark. Thank you for coming to this little Q&A webinar, and you guys just keep it up. Like, you just need patience. That's all this game is about. You're already on the right track, just wanting to learn. That's a big step that most people don't take. But you have to have the patience to see it through. If you say, like, look, I want to be a student, I want to be a millionaire, I want to actually do something with my life and live the life that I dreamed of, you're going to have to follow through, because everybody wants the dream life, but most people aren't willing to do the hard work and sacrifice that's required to get there. What are you laughing at?
Funny clock.
We do have a funny clock. Anyways, thank you guys again for tuning in. This Friday morning, Tim Grittani, out of the blue, just because this is what's so amazing about the challenge. We have so many different successful traders. Tim Grittani, out of the blue, is like, hey, I want to do a live trading webinar. So Friday morning, I believe 9 a.m. Eastern, Tim Grittani will be on, and he usually does like 2 or sometimes even 3-hour live trading webinars. So don't miss that. He just passed $4 million in profits. He's already up nearly $500,000 in 2017 in just the first 3 months. He now lives in the Caribbean, and I try and chat with him, and he cuts off our chats because he has to go play with the sea turtles every now and then. Literally, did I tell you this? I was talking to him on GChat, and he's like, oh, Tim, sorry, I got to go. The sea turtles are out. And I'm like,
that's the life.
That's a good problem to have if the sea turtles are out and you have to go play with them. But anyways, thank you guys. What's up? Tim Sykes here. Courtside, Spurs versus Warriors. With Mark Croock. Woo! We haven't been to a game in a while. A few years ago when you passed, I think you were at like 200,000 in profits or something. I think you were at 150,000 in profits. And now you're over 700,000 in profits. And you look the exact same. But your life is not the same. How is life different now?
Dude, everything's changed since I got to Miami, man. Ever since I came to Miami.
What's happened? What did Miami do?
It's been pretty amazing. I got married, man. I have a child now. I'm sitting courtside. Life is pretty fucking sweet.
Don't swear. Come on, you have a kid.
Oh, okay.
It's all right. We're here. It's cool. We just had dinner with David Robinson, the man. I'll post that video too. Mark and I are having a great talk with him, and he just had some great words of wisdom that I wanted him to pass down to you. What do you got to say, David, to my students? You tell me.
Oh, are you recording now?
Yeah, we're recording.
I see. All right. Well, hey, I'm David Robinson, and all you Tim students out there, I just want to say, keep working hard. Nothing's easy, but your dedication, your focus is going to take you places you cannot even imagine, right? So you may have a thought, but don't worry about your dreams. You're going to surpass your dreams. Just keep working.
And consistency. Never give up, right? No days off.
Well, you can take 1 or 2 days.
Oh my God, David, you're killing me.
Well,
I use the hashtag no days off.
No days off. Okay, go with that then.
Yes.
It's finding the right balance in your life, right? You got family. You don't want to miss out on your kids or your wife, but at the same time, you got to be dedicated to your subject. So just stay focused, man, and try not to get anything out of perspective.
Don't burn out. I actually missed my college graduation for a stock trade, so learn from my mistake. Don't do that. Go to your college graduation.
That's funny.
I don't
and
have
your kids' games.
I don't have the balance that I need to listen to
You
too.
gotta have balance. That's not. No success is worth anything if you don't have someone to share it with. So make sure that you don't miss out on the other important things in life.
Thank you for sharing everything, and congrats on all your success and for remaining so humble.
Yeah, all right. Appreciate that.
Just amazing. Thanks, man. We got a little better seats than him. He's so gracious, he wouldn't even allow us to sit in worse seats than him. I don't know what's going on here, but courtside NBA is pretty freaking sweet. Get here, get inspired. It ain't cheap, it ain't easy. Getting to 700,000 in profits like this man. Happy birthday tomorrow, by the way.
Thank you, man.
Mark Croock's birthday. Many of you challenge students. Mark has been mentoring you guys. I don't know what this guy's doing. This is what happens when you just blindly follow a penny stock. You end up like that guy. He hasn't done his research. That's a bag holder. You want to know what a bag holder looks like. But no, in all seriousness, it's just awesome, It's totally different. Go through my videos. You can see when I sat courtside next to Spike Lee. This guy is the best. This Leonard. Gasol's about to shoot. Curry's right there. Freaking awesome game. 48-45. There's already been a 23-point comeback. Check this out. Oh! Wait till you see the action. They're going to go to the other side first, but then they're going to come back here and you're going to see the action. You got to sit courtside. I know that stadium is big. There's a lot of people all over the place. Maybe you're watching it on TV. But courtside, it's just different.
Defense!
Wait for them to come back. Give me a few seconds. Even now, it's pretty cool. Oh! I'm glad they did that, so they can come back in. Yes, Leonard! Yes!
Go Kawhi!
Look at this. Get inspiration. I didn't plan that. Here's the action I'm talking about.
Here we go. Here we go.
Oh. Very nice. Anyways, leave a comment with the word courtside. Whoa. If you get inspired by videos like this, and you want to come sit courtside with me at one of these games, all you got to do is be a dedicated student, like Mark, who's done so much. Thank you for all your hard work, Mark. Seriously. On behalf of all the challenge students, thank you for mentoring, and it's my pleasure to, hang out with you and see this. But you guys watching, get inspired. Jordan. Oh, Jordan. Oh.
That one's going to be commentary Stephen Curry.
So close. The ball was coming to me. Oh, well, what can you do? Anyways, leave a comment with the word courtside if this inspires you, if you want a better life for yourself, for your loved ones, if you want to start a charity like I have, if you want to be like Leonard, like the freaking best basketball player in the land, whose ass is in my face right now.